Hello and welcome to the Alula webinar. Today we're talking about how to protect the yard, increase security and account value with Alula's outdoor solutions. Real quick before we get started, I just want to, anybody who's new to Alula's platform, give you a quick overview. We are 100% partner focused. We only work with pros. We do not go direct to the end user unlike some of our competitors. We are an all-in-one platform, so we provide both the interactive solution as well as the hardware. And by tightly having that seamless experience bundled together, we're able to give your customers a great end-user experience, but also give you some cost savings and some efficiencies along the way. We are your partner for new installs as well as takeovers. We've got the Connect Plus and the Back Connect, and we're especially your partner for sunset solutions. So we've got plenty of material on that on our website at alula.com. And just to emphasize, partner support and enablement is our #1 priority. As part of the marketing team, we hope you'll come and visit our Partner Resource Center and use some of the materials we're creating there to send to your customers and get new business. Today's guest is Dave Main. He's a familiar face to all of you who have attended past webinars. He's got more than 20 years of experience in the wireless device networking business. He worked at Digi International, GE Security Interlogics, Gibson Guitars, and Adtron. He's launched 3 interactive service offerings through partnerships with Alarm.com, iControl, and Home Assurance. He joined Alula in April 2014 and has been issued 3 patents. I believe it's still 3. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but welcome you to the webinar.
Thanks, Kevin. And you know, I think as you know, and we always do, you and I will both be kind of very active through the whole presentation, but I appreciate being included and looking forward to the chat today.
Excellent. Well, we're calling this Protect the Yard, and we're talking about how security can expand beyond the front door. So, Dave, tell me a little bit about why this is important right now.
Yeah, Kevin, you know, this is really part of a trend, and we see it in all kinds of industries. And it's all about notifying before an event happens. In the world of automotive, you get an older car, and you know when you have an accident as soon as you run into something and you hear a crunch. But increasingly, they're putting sensors in that tell you and give you warning before you hit something, before you back into something. You know, health, people are wearing watches now, and you know when you have a heart attack, increasingly they're getting, you know, better at identifying when there's a trend that might indicate these conditions. And that's what we're really bringing to the world of security. People don't break in from inside. It's a break-in. They're coming from the outside. And so what we're talking about are what are the tools and capabilities that we can provide as an industry and we can provide to our partners to help identify what's happening outside of property and be able to provide alerts and warnings and indications that things are being watched. And in this world of uncertainty, in this world where there's a lot of craziness going on, people are, you know, they're hunkered down in their homes more. It's good to give them that sense of comfort, to give them that sense of visibility, and this is all tied with, you know, video cameras going into the residential world are largely about seeing what's happening outside. We can go even beyond that camera, and we can provide a broad range of solutions that provide that protective bubble outside the property, and increasingly to, you know, neighborhood watch, friends and family nearby as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. I think you hit the nail on the head. Cameras are more important than ever. Certainly people are more reliant on their doorbell cameras to decide whether they want to break that security barrier and open up their home to an outside guest. And so I think that's a good place to start thinking about expanding the security perimeter because in many cases, this is already, the doorbell's already there, they're already seeing that first look, and there's some opportunities to kind of use that to kind of move them and move their thinking beyond the 4 walls of the home, right, Dave?
Yeah, no question. And, you know, a lot of this comes down to, I think we all know as industry professionals and providers of security, the most common activity that happens before somebody breaks into a property is they ring the doorbell or they knock on the door, see if somebody's home. A lot of break-ins happen during the day, and this whole concept of being able to see what's going on prior to an event occurring has been key. That alongside more home delivery and seeing, you know, packages being delivered and porch pirates, that led to the world of adding video at the doorbell. And increasingly, it's going beyond the doorbell to what's going on other sides of the property. that visual inspection, notification of what's going on is key. And with our cameras, not only can you see that on a customizable dashboard, so when you log into our app, you get that first-hand view, you can be notified of motion detection activity going on all around the property. This increases the satisfaction rate and the usage rate of the app, which in turn reduces attrition for our customers. There's multiple studies that you can look at that will say the more that you engage people in using the app and the more that you can engage in the layers of services, the higher your retention rate is going to be. And we know this industry is all about maximizing recurring revenue opportunity, and video generally drives the recurring revenue up, and reducing attrition. And these are the things that our customers, our partners are observing when they add video into the mix. Our two biggest sellers you have listed here, the RE701 and RE703, both outdoor-facing cameras, one to go right on the front porch and one to go on other sides of the property. They provide notifications, visibility into what's going on, and really give that connection of technology and services to your customers so they use the app over and over and remain satisfied through that process.
Yeah, and I can't emphasize enough using the app as a selling tool. I think the doorbell sells itself. That's pretty much a no-brainer now. But when they open up the app and they see the doorbell feed, and then they realize, wow, I could have 3 or 4 or 5 other feeds, and how much more of a view of my house am I going to have that way? It really ends up, I think once they cross the initial hurdle of deciding to add cameras, you're going to want to, you don't add just one, you add 3 or 4. And I think the app really brings that home in the way it allows you to kind of, group areas. And if you have a sensor, you may also want to have a visual there as well. And Dave, when we do talk about those sensors, well, go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to say, you brought up the app, and the app is a selling tool, and you and I have had this discussion. Alula has one of the best demo modes of the app in the industry, and recently we added the ability to tie the video into that demo mode. So, using it as a selling tool, it's great, but the fact that you have a demo mode that is a full walkthrough of the app and ties the video in, I think just heightens that the ability to leverage that as a selling tool. So I know you and I got excited when we were able to fold that into the mix, and I think all of our partners are leveraging that to close business faster and to increase the number of products and services that your customers subscribe to.
Yeah, that's a great call out, Dave. That's live right now. You can have your customer download the app from either the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. And you could have them, demo the system even though you haven't installed a single thing. And it'll show what it would be like to have cameras and what kind of view they would have there. And hopefully, if you like it and if they like it, we would love for you to also review that app, give us a 5-star review. Let me know if you do. I'll send you something in the mail to thank you for your efforts. But really quick, Dave, let's get back to the motion sensor, the outdoor motion sensor. We talked about those outdoor cameras, but I guess there's some situations where you may not want to have a camera, that it can be a more expensive solution than a simple sensor. So talk about some times where you may choose to use an outdoor motion sensor.
Yeah, and this is a motion sensor we did in partnership with Optex, one of the leading providers of motion detecting devices out in the industry. We have multiple radios in it, so we have it compatible with our Connect Plus platform, but we also have versions compatible with Logix, Honeywell 2GIG, and DSC. But what's unique about this, outdoor motions in this industry have long been a concern because they aren't good at discerning motion that you really care about. And what we did with this particular device is we made it more of almost a beam detector. It does not cover a wide area. It is a very narrow field of view. So you can see some use cases down on the bottom where these can be turned and put in front of a patio door, put in front of an entry door, in front of a gate, in front of a garage door, and we have the settings that can be configured so it's perfect for a standard 16x7 garage door and detect motion going into that area. It does not look out far into the yard. It looks for somebody peering in a window, peering in a door, or something driving through a door. So in terms of a driveway alert, a garage alert, they're ideal types of solutions. But beyond that, looking for the types of activity that will lead to an eventual break-in. And these can be enrolled in, if it's in a Connect Plus, we have a lot of flexibility in how they can be configured. It can be a full alarm zone, or it can be a notification-only type of zone to really drive use case towards the app and engage your customers in the process of protecting their home and taking action on it. And I think you're going to find as we go through this presentation, we're now tying it to audible and visual detectors that can be put outside that will be able to indicate, hey, I've just seen you peering in a window or peering in a door, leave this house alone. And that's the type of story we really want these detectors and these sensors to tell. So you see the use case applications. It's a very unique sensor. It has, and I think we're going to see on the next slide, 2 PIR elements in it. So it's perfect for identifying a human versus an animal. A squirrel or a rabbit coming up to the door is not going to trip this. And it's not a tricky lens that's going out and saying, I think there's only a heat signature in this particular area. It's 2 actual PIR elements with a lens combined that provide that field of view. On the right-hand side, you can see how it's a very narrow pattern. It's not going across the entire area, and it can be rotated based on what you want to protect. So a very flexible and unique sensor. These have been used widely in other parts of the world, mostly in Europe. And, you know, naming it an outdoor motion sensor, we think does it a little disservice here because this industry has been resistant to using those for reasons of false alarm. I think if you try this detector out, you're going to find some unbelievable use cases. And combining this with our outdoor motion or outdoor siren strobe, with our notification engine, with a number of other things that we have built into the Alula interactive platform, I think you're going to satisfy your customers and really move that protection perimeter outside the property in a way that isn't just gimmicky. It's useful, and it really brings value to your customer and keeps some customers for a long time.
Yeah, you know, as you describe it, it's almost like one of those kind of lasers in a movie that kind of protects, you know, if you cross that one beam, suddenly the alarm is going off. And so this seems to have a similar function where you can protect sides of houses, and it's really great the way it's not going to trip with the pet, because I've got a dog about that height myself.
Yeah, it's really been good, and we've had good reviews on it for people that have deployed it. I highly recommend giving it a try.
And so, you know, in addition, you may also want to, you know, use the outdoor door window sensor to basically, you know, secure gates. And this is a movement sensor, so that if someone is opening a gate or opening an outdoor window or outdoor door, you know, a garage door, for example, you'll be able to tell that door has now opened the way you are with indoor window and door sensors, right, Dave?
Yeah, and in this sensor, there's a lot of thought put behind this outdoor door window sensor. So the casing, the mounting plate on it is reversible. You can take the base mounting plate, and it has a rounded side if you're going on a round fence post, as well as a flat side. The antenna and the entire electronics are pulled away from the device it's mounted to. Metal tends to not be good for RF. We've pulled that away to maximize range and performance. The magnet gap on this, when you buy this sensor and you feel the magnet, it is a heavy, solid magnet with a good reed switch inside the sensor. Aiming at getting up to a 2-inch magnet gap on this, which is really critical on a lot of fences. They're going to have a lot of slop in their closed positions. We're able to tolerate that slop and still detect a good open condition as well. So a lot of thought put into the design of this thing. It can be mounted completely outdoors. It's great for outbuildings, sheds, fences, pool gates, those types of applications, and again, available in all the different compatible flavors. And it does support external contacts, so you can wire an external contact, and that comes in through the back in a protected area to keep that IP67 rating that we tout here. So a great sensor, and it's done in gray, which works on a wide variety of different outdoor applications, and it tolerates UV very well. If you try to do a black sensor, it can get too too hot, and so it's weather tolerant and tolerant to a lot of different installation environments.
Yeah, and so, when you're looking at a customer, if you see that they have a pool, if you see that they have a pet, with a backyard that's fenced in, these are all opportunities to sell that outdoor door window sensor, because those are the exact kind of use cases that we designed it for. Is that correct, Dave?
It is, and it's also great as a wireless contact for if you get into commercial properties and you have a lot of rolling type doors or other doors where there's different hardwired sensing technology, but you don't have an ability to pull wires back. That's where the external contacts come in, and this is a large, high range, long range, ruggedized device. So even if it's just in an outbuilding but a protected area, it's very good to adapt those types of sensors into your security environment.
Excellent. And of course, the latest addition to our outdoor security portfolio is the Outdoor Siren Strobe. So I know a lot of you who have listened to this webinar, almost every webinar, we do get a question, when are you guys coming out with the Outdoor Siren? It is out, it's available, and we're very excited to bring it to market. And so, Dave, why don't you talk a little bit about why this is so important for the security system?
Yeah, Kevin, I mean, the Outdoor Siren Strobe, we've done a few things on this. It works on our Connect Plus product line, and it uses our long-range wireless encrypted technology to communicate back to that panel. And we did that so that we can do a couple of things. First off, it can be fully battery powered. One of the challenges in getting any sort of an outdoor sounder or visual device is trying to run the wires. We can run, 2 to 5 years, depending on how you have it configured, fully on battery. We do have an ability to have an external power supply on this device, in which case it's battery backed up, and so it can be full, AC powered, or it can be full battery powered. We have long range RF. I mentioned that. I opened. It's using the encrypted wireless channel of Connect Plus. Z-Wave is a great technology, and there's some Z-Wave strobes and sounders out there, and it's good for automation devices, and I don't want to disparage it in any way, but it's not the longest range wireless. It gets its range by hopping between devices. In the case of putting something up in an eave or in an outdoor area, you're often in a challenging RF environment, and you're going to be further away from the panel. So having good long-range supervised RF is key, and then putting it in the world of security is another key. And then we have both audible and visual indicators on this device. And it can be as simple as putting it up to just alert the neighbors or alert the neighborhood that there's a break-in that's occurring, and try to deter and get people to leave quickly when that occurs. But it can also be an indicator for first responders, as you highlight here. Being able to put a strobe, and we have replaceable lenses. Blue, often the indicator for medical conditions. If you have somebody that is a high-risk medical person, they can have a blue flashing light alerting the first responders on that front. We also have yellow and orange capabilities as well. So you give a visual indicator, you give an audible indicator that can be configured to do one or the other or both, and they can do softer chirps based on other observed events. So if you tie this with some of the sensors we've talked about, or some of the other outside indicators, we can chirp and alert people, hey, we see you, don't break in, and try to prevent an event as opposed to just alert once the event occurs. So we use this in two ways: prevent something from happening, and then ensure we get quick and accurate response when there is an event. And those are the two conditions that are really beneficial around this type of device.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the case of an emergency, minutes count. We've seen terrible stories of first responders who weren't able to get to where they were looking to get to because of confusion in the moment. I think it's only worse currently. And so whatever you can do to put up that flag and say, I'm the one that needs help, I think that's incredibly important. And in fact, Dave, you highlighted the elder care example or the home health care example of having that visual cue for someone who may not be able to get outside of the house to flag somebody down.
Exactly. And so having these types of devices as part of the portfolio become key, and it really allows you to tell your message. Our industry is all about protecting and saving lives. And there's no better way to do it than to say, hey, when there is an issue, when something has occurred, we can make sure that they know exactly where they're going. This is the home, this is the business, and take as quick a response time as possible.
So, obviously, this solution also can work for businesses, and increasingly businesses have a need to be able to put out those flags. So talk about it as an SMP solution.
Well, yeah, businesses in general, you mentioned an increasing need. We all know, living in the world of the pandemic, everybody's work schedules are changing. And, when things are delivered is changing, and when employees are coming in, and many businesses are shifting their schedules slightly to accommodate and minimize the number of people in a property. All of these put properties at increased risk. And the more you can do to deter an event before it occurs, or further deter an event when it is occurring. If somebody does break in and trip an alarm, if it's making noise inside a property, that's one level of a deterrent. If it's making noise and visual indicators outside the property, that gets people to scatter and take action much more quickly. And that's what this type of device can do. It's a visual indicator outside that this is a protected property. It gives an opportunity to send that signal. It gives an opportunity to provide indications that we see you before you break in, and if you do have an occurrence of something breaking in, it allows, a faster response time and a faster deterrent time for anybody that's doing something nefarious. So we have multiple applications around this. You can add multiple outdoor siren strobes to any given system, and you can scatter these around the property to maximize the protection perimeter on any type of building, whether it be residential or commercial.
And here we have the product specs. Why don't you walk us through these, Dave, but the particular highlight here on this product number RE636, so if you want to contact your distributor, it does come with these base plates as part of the package, but it's RE636. But Dave, talk a little bit more about the product specs here.
Yeah, the colored plates, the multiple color plates are key, and just like you do with any sort of panic, you have what can be the indicator that matters most to you. This does come with the batteries installed and 2 to 5 year battery life, so all of the batteries are included. It shows an IP56 water resistant enclosure. What that really means is, it's kind of the spray with the hose, have rainfall in it type. You aren't going to put it underwater, but if you mount it outside a building, it's really designed to be tolerant of all the different weather conditions, and it's mounted as shown in the picture here with the siren strobe down. We do have a lot of adjustability on this, both the volume as well as audible versus visual versus both indicators. And we're increasingly adding abilities to tie that into our scenes engines so you can trip it based on other observed devices. So it becomes not just an alarm indicator, it becomes an ability to provide notifications of a variety of different events. You can even mount these inside, just strobe only, if you have a life safety type of event to provide visual indicators of exit areas or other conditions inside a property. So they're really built to go outside, but people have used them inside as well, especially with the blue light. New York has some regulations that require blue flashing lights for CO or life safety types of environments. This is a perfect type of product to cover those applications as well.
Oh, good. So, yeah, I was wondering about that in terms of local regulations. So, New York, sounds like you have some. Now, this next thing, we're talking about outdoor security, but I felt like I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the Slimline Touchpad because of the way it brings the outside in and gives you that instant visibility. If they have multiple cameras, they really have to have a Slimline Touchpad. So, David, talk about this product.
Yeah, and this is one of our biggest award-winning products. And I honestly lost count on how many different awards we won. And it's winning awards because of its versatility. It's shown table-mounted here. It can also be wall-mounted. You can add this device whether you're putting our Connect Plus panel in or if you're installing Honeywell or DSC or Interlogix or other traditional panels. who can actually replace their keypads, put this touchpad in, bring that technology into the latest decade, and then bring, as you pointed out, Kevin, the world of video, the world of automation, and the world of notifications to those customers that are using those systems. So we can leverage wires that are already in the wall. We're bringing, security, automation, and video into a unified user interface. It works across any panel, and as you start to install more sensors, cameras, and devices outside, you want to be able to not only be aware of and alert for those conditions, but then notify people inside the property, and this is the perfect tool to make that happen. So, half of it's in the sensors and just the concept of protecting the perimeter. The other half is providing the notifications and tools to see what's going on and take action based on what you see. And these two things in combination are really critical to maximize success and satisfaction as you implement these technologies.
Yeah, I always think about, when you watch the, TV shows where you'll see someone sitting behind a bank of 20 TVs, and they're using that to surveil their entire property. And I think that's an experience people want to be able to have, but perhaps without the 20 TVs taking up space. And so that's really what the Slimline Touchpad brings to life. I mean, you can literally just kind of scroll through the cameras and get a 360 view around your house. And then, of course, you've got these kind of instant notifications and arming status and the ability to kind of arm and disarm on the touchpad. So, and another great thing is that it matches the app that we talked about earlier that they're going to be used to on their phone. And so it's not a different experience that's going to confuse them. It's the experience they have with their home is going to be the same whether it's on their counter or, when they're scrolling through their phone, sitting at a drive-through line or whatever they're doing. So very, very important.
As you're speaking to that, it's customizable. You talk about scrolling through the cameras. You can pick the cameras that you want to see, and if there is an event that is detected, the notifications can flow right through where that particular camera, that particular sensor is going to pop up to the forefront. And so you're perfectly right, Kevin. It really condenses everything down into a 7-inch touchscreen, but it gives you a lot of flexibility to configure and view what really matters based on the events that you're trying to detect. So very versatile.
Yeah, and I wouldn't think of this as kind of a one-and-done type thing, like, oh, do I want to put it in the kitchen or do I want to put it on my nightstand? You're going to want to get 3 or 4 of these and put them in all the key areas of the home. And to Dave's point, it does have the flexibility that the one in the nightstand, maybe you don't want it to make any audible chirping noises, whereas the one in the in the foyer when you walk in, maybe you want it to announce when someone has walked in the door. So it does have that flexibility, and I think it's going to be the kind of thing where people are going to want multiple ones, so that it's always within eye line wherever they are in the house. And Dave, thank you so much for taking the time to go through the outdoor security solution. Obviously, there's a lot of excitement around the Outdoor Siren Strobe. This is the first time we're introducing that, so there's going to be some questions around that. But people are always curious about what we're working on. Are you able to stick around a little bit and answer some questions?
I'd love to, yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's get to it. All right. Thank you guys all for being here. We've got a really great group, and I've enjoyed the chat. It sounds like some of you already have a Siren Strobe, so very happy to hear that and get your feedback. Dave, are you ready to get to the questions?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So first one comes to us from Alton Taylor. He's an old friend of the webinar. He asks, are there any new cameras? I need the best camera setup for a daycare monitoring remotely.
Yeah, we have 4 cameras right now, 2 indoor and 2 outdoor models, and it sounds like you're familiar with those. In that type of environment, we have one that's an indoor PT camera, pan tilt. We're adding some new features to that shortly where it has a privacy mode. So with pan tilt, you can obviously have it move around. With privacy mode, it can actually hide the camera when you don't want it to be viewing anything. And this is very popular for indoor type of applications, and I think what's being described here. So you're going to see more cameras coming as we get into 2021. Both updates to our current models that have some additional features, as well as probably adding some additional cameras into the lineup. But I'd say for the application to find the PT camera, which is an RE702, would be a good fit. And I'll give you an update as we get the new firmware out there to kind of enable the privacy mode and some of the other features on that. I think that's coming here shortly within the next couple of weeks.
Excellent. And then follow-up question on cameras from Carl. You'll remember we started the presentation talking about cameras. Carl's asking, can you hardwire the cameras?
Some of our cameras can be Ethernet hardwire connected. The indoor PT camera that I just talked about, RE702, and the outdoor RE701 both have Ethernet hardwire connections in addition to wireless Wi-Fi. The doorbell is wired for power and then Wi-Fi for communications. And the indoor mini, the RE700, is a wireless camera. So some can be hardwired, and again, we'll be kind of expanding that lineup as we get into 2021.
Cool. Now, David's got a question about the outside motion sensor. Do you get an audio alert inside the premises?
There's a lot of configuration you can do. Alerts in the app that are push notifications, and we didn't really talk about it here, but the speed of our network, you'll be amazed. If you go into our app, you can click on any sensor. There's a little right arrow, and it'll allow you to change some settings on it. And one of it is getting notifications, and the push notification happens in the instant you trip that sensor. So that's one method. We do have a scenes engine that allows you to take action to provide other notifications inside on the panel as well. So each one of these sensors can be configured, and then there's a lot of flexibility. If it's enrolled in a Connect Plus panel, we have a lot of flexibility on kind of the behavior and active modes of the sensor. So you can have devices enrolled that are always active but never create reports or never create alerts. You can have them change what the siren or sound cadence is. So a lot of flexibility in it. And what I'd suggest for those that haven't worked a lot with Alula, we have what's called the CST, the Customer Success Team. They work on training and implementation. And I think as you get familiar with the product, they start with the baseline features, and then they can walk through all the different scenarios. And you're going to find probably more programming and flexibility in a Connect Plus panel than really any other security panel out in the market, especially when it comes to individual sensor configuration. So let's have a conversation, and we'll figure out what you're trying to accomplish, and I'll almost guarantee we can make it happen.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I actually have a follow-up. I didn't think about this way until David brought up the question. But so, Dave, would you be able to have the Slimline Touchpad speak zones when it comes to that outdoor motion so that it will actually tell you if someone trips that outdoor motion?
Yeah, that's great, Kevin. The Slimline Touchpad, for those that haven't used it recently, we've added features, and all of our devices get automatic firmware updates. They check in every day for any new features. And I don't know, probably 6 or 9 months ago, we added the ability to have the Slimline Touchpad speak. So it can speak anything from sensor names to system activities to alarm events. All of those things can be triggered. And so from that standpoint, you can put it in basically a chime mode that will speak. If you named your sensor, somebody's outside the patio door, it would speak. Somebody's outside the patio door. So a lot of flexibility on what you do there.
Dave, I think you just created a new horror movie genre. So, Richard asks, are these PIR, or do you also offer point-to-point photo eyes? Yeah,
I think I saw some chatter on that in the chat window. These are PIRs, passive infrared, so it's looking for a heat signature. As I mentioned, it has 2 actual elements in it, and they're aimed at different heights, so both have to be tripped to create an alert on this. We don't have any of the photo beams, but again, from an installation standpoint, this is a single sensor that will cover, and it's configurable for, I want to say, I have to look now, but I know there's like an 8-foot, a 16-foot, and I think one other setting for distance for tripping, and these are really optimized for different common door sizes, patio doors, and garage openings. So not a beam, it is a PIR, but it is a very unique PIR technology in the industry, and I highly recommend getting one and giving it a try, because I think you'll find a lot of applications for it.
Absolutely. Quick moment of housekeeping. Ingrid is asking, can you repost slide 6 at the end? All of you who attended this will get a video recording of it sent to you in case you need to share it or revisit it. But also feel free to reach out to me, kevin.hoffman@alula.net. I can send you a copy of this presentation as a PDF. And for any of you who are kind enough to leave us a 5-star review, do let me know so I can get that t-shirt in the mail to you. Next question comes to us from Richard. Can video be coordinated with a trip, an alarm trip?
Yeah, Richard. So I think what you're asking is, I want to program a sensor to, if the sensor sees something, then go capture a video clip instead of just what the cameras detect. So our cameras today are configured for capturing activity that they observe, and you can change the sensitivity. You can actually change the area of where the detection zones are, and all of that can be configured through the app. I think he's asking, can you trip it off of a sensor? As we sit today, you can't do that. The sensor trips won't capture video. This is something we look to add, and we look to add it even to the cameras that have already been deployed. We're going to be doing some updates to the camera firmware, and as we make those updates, that's going to allow us to do a more effective job of tying sensor trips to capturing video images. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you posted when we get closer to making that available.
Excellent. Now Gerald comes to us with this is a new question. We don't always get new questions. We get a lot of the same questions. This one we haven't seen before, and I'd be really curious as to the installation. But he's asking, do these devices stand up to a sea blast? So I guess that's, waves, saltwater waves coming in.
Well, there's all kinds of interesting weather activities going on, so I'm not surprised to see these questions coming in. All of these have different what's called IP ratings, which is industrial protection, I think it stands for, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Basically, you have to go through different settings, and the outdoor devices we're talking about would be perfectly fine with sea blast, seawater, wave splash, rain, hose spraying, cleaning the sides of a building, all of those types of things. As you get into some of the devices, like the outdoor door window has a higher IP rating, which makes it, I guess, more protected from weather events. Like the Siren is at a rating where you can spray it with a hose, you can spray it with a cleaning, it can take sea waves, and it's got a little drain hole in the back, and everything's protected, and the electronics are all safe. But the outdoor door window can take sprays from all different angles, and it's protected, so it's a little tighter seal on that type of device. So, but no issues on that type of application. We should be in good shape.
Boy, that's a really good point, Dave. I didn't even think about that. We are in hurricane season. It's been an extraordinarily active hurricane season. For those of you who are in those zones, stay safe. But Gerald, actually, great idea. You've obviously seen those terrible videos of homeowners who need help and maybe trapped in the house, and a siren strobe could actually, in that situation, literally save a life. So, Gerald, thank you for bringing up that point. Further on that siren strobe, Carrie Feldman asks, will the strobe continue to work after the siren times out?
Well, that's an interesting question. So with the siren strobe, it's a unique design. So when it goes into alarm, it's built in. It will continue to sound for 4 minutes if it loses connectivity with the panel. What that means is, hey, I was told to go into alarm. I'm going to take over. If I don't hear from the panel, I'm going to continue to operate. And that's a condition, if there's a catastrophic event and, a fire or whatever that disrupts things, we're still going to operate. Short of that, it will track the siren settings on the panel, which are configurable. So they'll default, I think, to 4 minutes, but you can change that and extend that timeout. All of this is, again, configurable in the panel. So it does have its own built-in timer. Short of using the built-in, it will operate to the settings in the panel itself. Hope that answers the question.
Excellent. Now, it does. Alton apparently got one of the first siren strobes on the shelf. He says, Kevin, I got one yesterday from Alarm Max. Shout out to our great distributor, Alarm Max. How long do the batteries typically last for those siren strobes?
They're rated for 2 to 5 years. In the range depends a little bit on, number one, how they're configured and how often they're chirping or making noise or doing flashes. And then to some degree, a little bit on where they're installed and the weather conditions. But 2 to 5 years you can expect. And again, you do have an ability to have a full-on AC power. And that power supply can be plugged in just, inside the wall. They come with 3 C batteries. That's what it operates on. It will use those as backup if you end up wiring it for AC power.
Excellent. And then Alton also said that he's going to go back and get another siren strobe to trip with the red light for use with life safety devices. And he said there's multiple, it comes with 3 different screens, different colored screens that you can use. And he says that was key to his purchase. So Dave, talk a little bit about that decision to include all 3 those screens and what they may do in different situations.
Yeah, so Kevin, that really came down to, again, applications. I mentioned, I think, during the webinar, blue is a common one for, CO or medical types of events. You see, blue panic buttons. And so we wanted to make sure we had that. Again, if you're trying to protect somebody that is vulnerable or has certain health risks or whatever, it gives an opportunity to send that beacon out and show that. We have the red and the orange, again, for different alert conditions. And I think I saw in the Q&A, Alton was really thinking about having different colored flashes for different types of alarm conditions. I think that's a great idea. And that's really why we included those. I didn't think of people doing that within a given installation, but I really like that to be able to, provide a visual. We have, alarms going off, and we all know we have different siren conditions for different types of alarms. Most people don't know what a temporal 3 siren is versus versus any other alert. And now to be able to provide a visual indicator of that as well, I think is a great idea. So kudos for bringing that up in the group.
Yeah, Alton, and we're looking forward to your review. Let us know what you think of it. Jump in the Facebook group. We would love to see some pictures from the field as well. And then any of you who aren't members of our Facebook group, I did post a link there in the group chat. We would love to have you. It's a great place to connect with fellow pros, similar to this webinar chat. Next question comes to us from Gustavo Osorio. He asked this when he was looking at the Slimline Touchpad screen, and he said, this panel looks like a Qualsys panel. So Dave, I take that as a compliment, but why don't you talk a little bit about the differences between the Qualsys panel and our Slimline Touchpad system?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that is a compliment to Qualsys. Qualsys makes a great looking product. It's been a high growth product out there. And that's really, when you put the Slimline Touchpad in, we are an industry that's all about bringing technology that protects people and provides, life safety services. But you have the job of connecting technology to people's lives. And when you come in, if you're putting in a security system and it has, a keypad that yellows over time and just has push buttons on it, that doesn't feel like you're really bringing that technology and bringing connectivity to your customers the way they expect it today in the world of connected devices. So the Slimline Touchpad was really put in place to deliver the Alula interactive experience, to bring the world of video and automation in an easy-to-use fashion, and to represent it in the same way that it's represented on the app in their pocket. One of the challenges somebody like Qualsys or anybody in that world has, if they aren't on the Alula interactive experience, they can't deliver that same user experience on the app as they can on the wall. Qualsys typically works with a different interactive provider, and they have their own roadmap and bring new features into the app. They can't push that down to the touchpad. That's one of the biggest advantages of the Slimline. You also can add multiple touchpads, and they all behave identical. in many systems, you add a secondary touchpad, it becomes kind of the child of the original panel, and it doesn't have all of the same features and functions. Each one of ours operates the same. They can all be configured independently, and there's innovative things that you can put in, like quiet periods, where you can have it talk and beep and show pictures and, you know, do all of the fun stuff during the day, and then at night become silent if it's in a bedroom application or things like that. So each one of these can be individually configured, and again, it brings that same experience, whether you're using it with our own Connect Plus panel or hooking it up to our BAT Connect communicator on a Honeywell panel or a DSC or Interlogix. You can deliver that same UI in all cases, which I think is a very powerful position to be in.
Thanks for that question, Gustavo. Yeah, that's as Dave outlined. We do have that beautiful look and feel that the consumers love, but you know, fundamentally, we just don't think you need to bundle the touchscreen with the actual security system and force it to be in a location where you have to always go to the same place. So there's a lot more flexibility with using the Slimline Touchpad. We got a question from Harvey LaForge. What type of battery are we using for the strobe?
There are 3 C batteries. They're alkaline C batteries, so easy replaceable types of devices, and they ship with that installed. So all good to go on that front.
Excellent. And actually, I'm going to jump down real quick because David Martin brought up a really good question I want to make sure we get to. Does the strobe siren alert you somehow when the battery is low?
Yeah, all of our devices, sensors, the strobe siren, any peripheral device will monitor for supervision in general. Can I still talk to the thing I'm enrolled in? And then low battery conditions are all reported. And that will be reported to the panel, to the app, to the user, and those trouble conditions also through Alula Connect to you, the dealer. So definitely we'll report that condition.
Cool. Now, TW has a good question here. How quickly does the strobe go off? I'm assuming once the alarm condition is tripped, how long before the strobe starts alerting?
Yeah, and that depends a little bit on how it's configured. If it's AC powered, it's nearly immediate. The receiver is always on, always listening, and it will alert as quickly as the siren in the panel, or nearly as quickly as the siren in the panel. If it is running on battery power, you will see a few second delay, and the delay will vary because the little receiver will turn on and off in order to conserve battery life. And so if it happens to be in between one of the turn-on periods, it could be, you know, a half a second or a second. I think worst case is around 3 seconds, if I remember right, but I'll verify that and get back to you. So within a handful of seconds, it will alert.
And is it configurable so that you could make it delay and wait longer to go off if you want?
Well, there's all kinds of configurability on the sensors and the panel itself before it goes into an alarm condition, and all of that can be configured for entry delay periods, extended entry delay. There's a lot of flexibility you have on that front. Once it goes into alarm, it's going to take its alarm action and follow the siren settings that are built into the panel. And that's all part of what I think anybody would expect on a security system. Now, if you're setting up scenes and other activities, and we're going to continue to evolve the scenes engine in our app to take better advantage and increase the advantage we can take on the siren and strobe. So there will be updates continuing to come. In the scenes engine world, we're going to have a lot more options for when it trips, what it trips based on, how long it will trip, and is it a light, is it a sounder? All of those things are going to be configurable through the app. So in a non-alarm world, I think you're going to have all the flexibility you want to be able to take full advantage of this thing.
Okay, and we're just rounding the final, Ben. We've got a few more questions to go, so get your final questions into the group chat. TW asks, can you name the sensors in the app so you know which is which?
Yes, everything can be named and it's pretty free-form in terms of what the names are, and whatever you type in can also be spoken in the Slimline Touchpad. If you're working in the our BAT Connect world and connecting us up to a different panel, we still have flexibility of naming, and that can all be done in the app. It actually pushes those names down to the panel. The only restriction we have on that is restriction that would, whatever the panel can accept for name lengths and things along those lines, but very flexible naming infrastructure. And in the case of Connect Plus world, it's total freeform and everything is spoken.
And one final question from TW. It looks like he may be a new Alula Pro. He's asking, do the cameras have two-way audio in the app and touchpad?
Yeah, every one of our cameras has the ability to do two-way audio. As we sit today, that two-way audio goes to the app, and we have that in place. We are adding that into the touchpad. It doesn't currently exist in the touchpad, but you have two-way video that you can do through the touchpad, and you also get, like on the doorbell, the touchpad it has doorbell chime sounds, so you can actually configure it for doorbell chime sounds. It will automatically open and pop the doorbell video open so you can see who's there as the button is pressed. And we will soon be adding the two-way audio to the touchpad as well.
Great. And thank you for those questions, TW, and thanks for joining the webinar and being with Alula. Next question comes from Michael J. Sanfilippo. Will you ever have a dual tech unit indoor or outdoor?
Well, you put the ever on there. I think it was Michael you said. With an ever, I'd say sure, we'll probably have one. We don't have one today. Dual tech devices are great. They sometimes become more challenging in a wireless or battery powered world to have a good performing dual tech sensor. We do have an ability to support a lot of different hardware devices, so hardwired devices. So if you have a dual tech that you really like, something coming out from, I think Bosch has a bunch of good devices. We can definitely wire those into our hardwire translator. It's a RE608, and enroll those into Connect Plus. And in that way, we can support them. Moving into a wireless model, we're definitely looking at those, and we'll continue to expand the line, but nothing we have in the works right now.
Okay, next question is from David Damon. Does Connect Plus have the ability to auto-arm on a schedule?
Yeah, David, it does. Our scenes engine, we can arm on a lot of different things and disarm on a lot of different items. So we can set up a scene that will disarm if you do a Z-Wave code. So if you unlock your door, it can automatically disarm the system. I think that's a really cool feature. We can run scenes at time of day, specific time of day, at sunrise, sunset, and that can include arming or disarming activities. There's all kinds of qualifiers, and I know there's going to be follow-on questions. Well, are there some concerns over setting these things up? We're trying to provide as much flexibility as possible. We sell to the professional channel. Professional dealers know how to set these up so it meets their customers' needs, and we can definitely configure for, auto-arming events through our scenes engine. And if you need help with that, again, call into our tech support line, the CSC, or work with your CST person that's assigned, our customer success team, and we can definitely help get you up and running with that.
All right, our last question comes to us from Michael Sanfilippo. Is that a little better, Michael? I'm trying to get my pronunciation correct there, but Michael asks, what about an update to keep the strobe going for alarm memory, warning the client before entry to the premises?
Yeah, I did a little read ahead on this one, Kevin. I saw that come in, and I've got I don't know if any of you use Slack. I was slacking to the engineers to see if we had that, and we don't do that today, but I love the idea. So I'm in the process of working with the engineer that designed this to see what it would take to get that in there. Thanks for the feedback, and I'll keep you posted if we add that in, but as of today, we don't do it, but I really like that one.
And Dave, sorry, just one final question from Alton. It's a really interesting, good question. Can a second touchpad be configured to be used as a video screen only, so just kind of that video monitoring screen?
Yeah, all of our touchpads have flexible configurations, so you can change what shows up on your home screen or on your dashboard. And there's navigation down on the bottom where you can kind of leave it on the video screen. It will. I can't think of a way we can set it up where it won't do security when it's enrolled and be video only. But I'm convinced we could get it to where it could default to show the video as kind of the primary feature of that particular device. So let me do a little bit of homework and that.
Sorry, Dave,
at any rate, we'll get back to them once I confirm.
Excellent. Yeah, love the idea, Out. And of course, we're always making updates, and we're able to push those remotely via firmware. So that is something that may indeed end up coming to life sooner rather than later. Thank you all for attending the webinar. We had a really great group, some really great questions. We're super excited about the Protect the Yard campaign and all these great sensors and the siren that we're bringing to market. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to join us on our Facebook group or follow up with me at kevin.hoffman at alula.net. And I'm sure, Dave, you'll be in the comments on that Facebook group if anybody has any other questions.
I love that Facebook group. I love hearing all the ideas and seeing people help each other out. So looking forward to chatting with everybody.
All right, we'll continue the conversation there, and I hope to see you next time on the Alula webinar.